I'm Google's chief internet evangelist, and I wish I could be with you at gogo6net, but unfortunately, circumstances prohibited that. So you'll have to put up with virtual Vint. I do appreciate the opportunity to participate in this panel in this kind of indirect way because IPv6 implementation is now absolutely essential. We are going to run out of IPv4. I don't think there's any disagreement about that. Questions about exactly when might be at issue. So trying to recover the existing IPv4 unused address space, for example, might be laudable, but it probably won't help for very long to prolong our ability to operate with IPv4 alone. Some of the things which the IETF has recommended, and which I also agree with, have to do with operating in dual stack mode, as long as you happen to have both IPv4 and IPv6 capability. At some point, there may be a time when you haven't switched over or haven't operated IPv6 in parallel or implemented IPv6 in parallel, and you don't have any IPv4 address space left, and so you're IPv6 only, or maybe you're IPv4 only. The implications of those conditions drive some pretty important questions. I hope the panel will have a chance to say something about things like carrier-grade NAT boxes or other kinds of proxies and things that will allow the interconnection of v4 only and v6 only devices to work, because if we can't do that, then we may see during this period of transition some parts of the net becoming disconnected. So it's an issue about how to accomplish that. One thing that I believe is necessary is a series of tests that could be done jointly among the application service providers and the ISPs with the full awareness of their consumer base to turn on IPv6 on a selected basis in order to figure out which aspects of the IPv6 user environment are working or are not working. We need test software that maybe it's Java or something like that, or JavaScript, that will allow a user to be advised whether or not his or her v6 connectivity to a service is actually there. There could be problems in the configuration of an edge device. There could be problems in the configuration of a router or a firewall in the user's premises. It could be a network that's run by an enterprise that has a configuration problem. These kinds of tests are going to have to be done in order to uncover problems that have to be remedied or solved. So that's one series of things that I believe should happen among the ISPs and the application providers and the users throughout the course of 2011. I know there's at least one day that's intended, June 6, 2011, for a kind of IPv6 day, but that's just one day. I think that we need to be ready for a whole series of ongoing tests in which we verify a correct operation, or we figure out what's not working. Finally, I wanted to mention one other thing. There's been a lot of controversy over the notion of whitelisting. At Google, this is a way of associating portions of the internet and autonomous system, for example, with the policy as to whether v6 addresses will be exhibited to devices at that part of the internet or not. We don't see this as a long-term tactic. It doesn't scale at all. But the reason it's valuable at the outset is that when you're doing testing and you're trying to sort out whether there's a problem for a particular cohort of users, being able to control where the IPv6 addresses are being advertised is extremely helpful. So this is intended, as I understand it, to be a scaffolding for the controlled introduction and testing of IPv6 on a pairwise basis between an ISP and a service provider. But it's not by any means thought to be a useful way of proceeding in the long term, when, of course, we all hope that IPv6 will be readily and widely available throughout the net. So those are some of the ideas that I hope will stimulate debate and discussion among the colleagues that are with you today. And I do appreciate again your forbearance in my inability to be with you personally. I am eager, of course, to see IPv6 make its way onto the internet sooner rather than later, because its absence will contribute to a constraining effect on our ability to continue to grow the network. Plainly, there is pressure for new devices to show up on the net, more appliances at home, at work, in the car, and maybe that we carry around on our persons. So address space will be much in demand, as I see it, and in particular it's important that we find a way to expand it through the use of the IPv6 128-bit address space. So I will turn this back over to the panel moderator and hope that you'll be able to put some useful suggestions together that the rest of us can undertake during the course of 2011.